Okay, and we're live.
All right. Well, hey everybody. Good to see you. So we've got our workout here. If you're looking for a copy of this, you can check our feed on Instagram or on Facebook. Or if you're watching this later on YouTube, just pause the video at the beginning, write it all down, and then start. So for today, we're only going to need one piece of equipment, and that's your sword, or if you're using a stick, that's fine. So just some kind of stick, because we're going to do some more parry transitions. So we did this on Sunday, so we're just doing a couple different versions of what we talked about on Sunday today. Okay, great. And if you missed Sunday, that's all right. You'll still be able to follow along. So I'm going to put this stuff down for now. We're going to get started with our cardio. So, I'm going to grab my timer because I am lost without a timer. All right, 3 minutes on the clock, and we're jogging in place. If you got some room, you can go in and out, or you can, if you got a lot of room, you can run in a circle and run around like that. But if you don't have tons of space, you can just jog in place. The key when you're doing jog in place exercises is to not be too low with your activity level. You want to make sure you are moving a bit to get your heart rate up. You don't need to be going at 95% effort, but you at least want to be getting past the 50% mark effort-wise, getting up into the 60 to 70% effort range before you're jogging. So it shouldn't be a sprint, but it shouldn't be a casual walk either. All right, 1 minute down. Couple other things I want to talk about today. So with these parry transitions, we're going to stick to two particular transitions. Some of those are going to work. All those transitions are going to work no matter what weapon you fence. You're going to have to modify your hand position slightly between foil, epee, saber, but the critical base level movements are very, very similar. There's only so many ways you can shake a stick, right? So this is that. And then Sunday we talked about the transitions that are more important in saber, but we didn't do them. Today we're going to do the transitions that are more important in saber, but still very critical in foil and epee as well. And those are the circle to direct transitions we alluded to Sunday, but we didn't get to. So that was already pretty long. I think we hit Instagram's 1 hour cap on the live stream, only by a minute, but still, it kind of cut off the end. Okay, we're down to the last 30 seconds, so I'm going to pick up that pace from 50-something to 70-something percent. So again, I'm not going turbo, I'm not going as fast as possible, but I am going faster. Because my heart rate is still not quite up there. So you can do some high knees to really help boost that up, or you can do some butt kickers. Either way is fine. We've got a couple seconds left. Time. Okay, so now that your calves are all lit up from doing a bunch of fast jogging in place, we're going to do some calf stretches. So we'll do some calf raises and calf lowers. Often people will do these with a surface that's elevated, but you can do these without that if you don't have that. You may see people doing this kind of thing against a wall. If you've got a wall nearby that you can put your feet on, you can do that. Or for doing a calf raise, you can just go up on your toes. You go up, and I'm just, if you got a little bit of room, you can move around a little bit. And then I want to go down. So I'm going to go raise, and maybe take a couple steps in place, and then go down. So I raise up, couple steps in place, and then down. So up, down, up, oops, up. This also helps with ankle strength and mobility as well. Okay, the second part we're going to do is you're going to do calf lowers. And so raises, my toes are going down. We're going to do calf lowers as well. So I'm just going to lift up my toes. So I'm going to lift them up. See that? So I lift my toes. Let's go up on my heels and then down. Go up, take a couple steps, and then down. So I go up, couple steps, and down. Up, and down. Up, and down. Up, and down. Couple more. So go up, and down. Up, and down. Okay, and you can see there that I wasn't really doing them really long when I was doing the steps. I was just kind of just hanging out in place. You could imagine someone that's like on stilts and they're trying to hold still. Someone who's really experienced can probably just stand there on their stilts, but someone who's learning is probably going to like pace in place a bit. Okay, we're going to transition to doing some quad stretches. So as usual, we're going to do our bow stretch, and this is something you can also do laying on your side if you're having a hard time being mobile, being on your foot, balancing. So you can do this on the ground as well. And we haven't really talked about this a whole lot the last couple weeks, but doing stretching after your workout is almost as important as stretching beforehand. I'm switching legs as I need. You do the same. So all these warm-up stretches that we do, minus the cardio, are things you should be doing at the end. And for some high to elite level athletes, they will still do a cardio cool down after they finish their activity before they do their cool down stretches. So they have a almost mirrored regimen of different stretching exercises that they do before and after. So an example of this would be elite level runners will do cardio to warm up, and then they'll do some warm-up stretches. Then they'll run, like if they're doing a 100-meter dash, for example, they'll do 100-meter runs. They'll do some heats with their coach. They might work on some technique work, like getting out of the blocks or things like that on a particular day. And then after they've done a bunch of heats, they will do light cardio after all of those heats to let their body come back down into a lower state of athletic performance before they jump into doing stretches. So having that kind of gentle curve off can be really, really useful, but it depends on the application. For us, working out at home, probably not necessary, but the stretches I highly recommend doing. Okay, so we got through that. I realized that I skipped our second thing on the list, lunges, but that's okay. We can do them now. We haven't moved on yet. So we got our calves, we got our quads. We're gonna do some lunges. So we're gonna do our standard setup for the lunge, athletic lunges. So I'm gonna step out with my heel down. So I'm also getting this calf lower as well. So it's similar to this, but with a little bit more targeted movement in my calf. I step through a little bit more, and since I did those calf raises and calf lowers, my ankle mobility is significantly better than usual, and I can step out a lot further into my lunge than I normally would. So that's really cool. Look at that. And then I will switch sides, do the same thing. So I'm heel down, pushing into the floor, my back leg, and stepping out with my front leg. Awesome. Okay, so now I'm going to switch to doing it with a bent knee instead of a straight leg. So this time, I'm going to step out. We'll start with the right hand again. So I go here, but I let my heel come up. And then from here, so I get out about as far as I'm comfortable and can still keep my front part of my leg pointing up. Then I'm going to bend my knee. And I will get a stretch through the quadricep, or I will get a stretch in the IT band. Sorry, that felt pretty good for a second there. Or in the hip flexor, depending. So either quads, IT band, hip flexor, somewhere in there, depending on where you're tight. All right, I'm gonna come up. I'm gonna do the other side. So heel is elevated, back leg is straight, front knee is bent, and then I let the back knee bend. Oh, okay, cool. All right, and then finally, we'll do some sweeps to get the hamstrings as well. We've hit most every large muscle group in the legs, so this is the last part of that. So, leading leg is out straight, trailing leg is bent, and I go down and through. Same thing on the other side. So I go down and through. If you've got room, you can do this with a step. So you go down and through, and then you can do it on the other side. Or if you don't have a lot of room, you can just switch legs as you go through. Okay, great. So now we're gonna switch to doing some footwork. You can do this blade in hand, or you can do this hand empty. That's your call, which one you'd like to do. I'm going to do this with empty hands, but if you're following along at home, you can totally grab your blade and do it that way as well. Okay, so we're gonna start with some advances and retreats. We're gonna do a couple minutes doing this, say like 2-ish, and then we'll switch to the next thing. So the key thing I'm trying to do here is I am keeping moving the whole time. So I'm not stopping. Unless my legs get really tired, in which case you want to, if my legs are just giving up on me, take a second, shake them out, get back to it, move on. Something I want to talk about today as far as like doing exercise is something that I have kind of talked about parts of through the last couple live streams, but I haven't hit this idea exactly, and so I want to talk about it in a little bit more depth today while we're suffering our way through some footwork. So the thing that I want to talk about is something called the 0th rep. And if you've taken classes with me, you've probably heard me ramble about this for days on end, because it's super important. So the 0th rep, in a nutshell, is every single preparation you do prior to exerting effort in an activity, an athletic activity. So that is the 0th repetition of the activity. So if you're doing a set of weightlifting exercises, your 0th rep is you positioning yourself under the weight or in front of the weight, and then putting yourself, let's say we'll imagine doing a bench press, which is something most people can visualize, where I'm laying on a bench, I have the bar over me, I'm going to reach up, I'm going to grab it, I'm going to take it off of the holder, I'm going to push the weight down and up. That's one repetition, and then I do a number of those, and then I put it back on the holder, and then that is the last repetition when I put it away, the omega rep. So that's our time for that. We're going to start doing lunge and recover. So how is this tie into fencing? We're talking about weightlifting, Tyler. What are you getting on about? Here's what it is. Your 0th rep in fencing is your on guard stance. What do you do before you do the thing? So if I have a sloppy setup for my activity, there's no possible way that activity will be good. It's not possible. Like, I mean, imagine if I was going to cook something and I bought, rotten food. I'm not ever going to make good food out of rotten food. It's not going to happen. It's not possible. So if I take every care to set things up properly, if I buy good ingredients, if I get a good recipe, if I can't follow the recipe, that's its own thing. But at least I started with ingredients that were proper, and I had a complete and proper process. So like all those things you have control over, even if the repetition isn't great. So food for thought. All right, we're going to do lunges. So we're going to lunge and recover. And for now, we're going to have the lunge and recover be dynamic. If you choose to use your arm, you're going to have to get your arm out and then bring it back in after the rep is done. So it'll be a 4-count process. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you choose to not use your arm, if you're just doing the footwork itself, then you're going to do it just 1, 2. And stay dynamic with your feet. So if you add the arm in, it's twice as many things, but it's a little fewer on the steps. So I'm going to do it no arms. I'm going to work on my legs. So I'm just going to go 1, 2, 1, 2. You'll notice I've got my back hand on my hip here, actually on both hips. This is to help remind me that I need to keep everything relatively level while I'm doing my action. So I'm reminding myself to not let the hips come up while I'm doing it. Very easy to do, but not something you want to be doing. I'm also not lunging in a really powerful way. You'll notice my back foot is staying stationary. I mean, can I lunge more than that? Absolutely. Am I doing it right now? No. It's not what we're practicing. You can, but that's a different set of live streams that we've got planned for more power. All right, how are we doing on time? Pretty good. So since we're down to the last 30 seconds, you can bring the tempo up a little bit. If you're doing the arm thing, you still have to 1, 2, 3, 4. Have to bring the tempo up, but keep it clean. Almost there. All right, last couple seconds. Really bring that tempo up. Time. Okay, so now we're going to do 2 advances and 2 retreats. So same thing as before with the advances. Now we're doing 2 instead of 1. So let's start. So we're going 1, 2, 1, 2. Good. So more on the idea of our 0th rep, since we're doing something a little bit less intense than lunge and recover. So I want you to think about, I'll give you a minute to think about what are things that go into the 0th rep in your fencing on guard. What are the component pieces? What are all of the different things? You might surprise yourself with how many things you actually know that you need to be doing if you go and list all of them out. Let's just start from the bottom. Your feet have to be pointed a certain way. Your ankles need to be a certain way. Your feet need to be a certain width apart. Your knees have to be pointed in a certain direction. Your knees have to be bent a certain amount. Your legs have to come out of your hips a certain way. All of this stuff, and then we've just gotten halfway there. So we have all these different things that have to be going right, and then we come up here and then there's more. Now when we're doing footwork activities, we're not really worried too much about what's going on upstairs, other than things staying balanced and staying over your hips. But when you get into blade work, you start adding your hands into there, adding your neck and your head, but we'll just focus on everything from about like your belly button down for today. So every time you set up to do a technique, before you do it, you have to check all those things during your 0th repetition before you start. Okay, time. So we did our double advance and double retreat. Now we're going to do advanced lunge and then recover retreat. So it's the same dynamic movement as we just did, but we're substituting a lunge for that second advance. So check it out. So we go advance, lunge, recover, retreat. Or you can do it without your hands. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Notice I'm counting to 6 and not 8. Double advance, double retreats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Advance, lunge, recover, retreat is 6. So the lunge is only 2 counts. It should not be more. Otherwise, why are you lunging? Just use an advance. All right, so we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can tell when I'm in my lunge, my back leg is the thing that's slowing me down the most. So when I get right about here, my back leg does not want to relax and move back. Because that quad muscle back there is a little sore, so it's resisting. It doesn't want to follow along and keep things moving smoothly. However, I can still make it do it by focusing on the way that my back leg is moving. If I ignore it, if I'm not thinking about what's going on, I'm going to continue to slow down and slow down and slow down until eventually I'm going to be like, man, why does this feel like it's so bad? And then I won't know. But if I can go, hey, something's not on tempo. What's dragging on tempo? Oh, it's the tempo between here and here. So once I get to here, things slow down. Everything's fine, fine, fine. And then right after that is when things go wrong. So something's happening right before that. It's not going wrong here, it's going wrong here. So usually things that cause a mistake happen slightly before the mistake presents itself. And so you have to look at that. It's not just, oh, this thing's happening now, what's happening right then? It's often what happened half a second ago that made this result here. Okay, so our last thing, I'm talking because I'm avoiding doing this thing. We're gonna do some Russian killers. Yes! So, Russian killers are simple. I'll show you 3 different methods for doing this thing. And we'll keep it short. So the couple ways you can do this, one is easy mode. Well, easy. Easy mode, you do just bend into a deep on guard or a deeper on guard, and then come up. So it's just going from a high guard to kind of a mid-level on guard, and then coming back up. Not standing, but coming back to here. So regular, low, and then regular. More extreme would be doing regular to super low guard, where my leg is fairly parallel with the floor when I go down. So I'm here, and you can let your back heel come up, that's fine. So I get to here, I come up, notice that I'm keeping upright, I'm not hinging at the hips. This is not a squat. I'm keeping my body upright. So I'm in a regular guard, I do the step, I go down, and then back up. Okay, and then the most spicy thing that you can do is you go down and then you do a lunge. So this can be, so you go here, and then lunge, recover, and then back up again. I'm gonna do the mid-level one, so I'm gonna leave the lunge off, but if you're looking for a little extra flavor, that's the way to add it. Okay, so let's begin. We'll do about a minute or so of this. So we're gonna go down, optional lunge, back up, and then step, and go down, and back up, down, and back up. And you can do a retreat as well. Make sure you're not running out of space. My back leg didn't want it, but it's not the boss of me. I am keeping my abs relatively engaged while I go down, and this helps to keep my lower back stable. Most people have a really strong lower back and a really weak core, which is fine until you put any sort of stress on your torso, and then weird things happen to your back. So having that second anchor, front and back, keeps things stable. If things are always pushing this way, it's not going to work out the way you'd like. Okay, time. Whew. Oh, the legs, they're useless. Okay, it's time for us to do our parry transitions. So I'm gonna grab my fencing, no, just kidding. I wanna grab this thing. Be right back. All right, this seemed to work really well Sunday when I was re-watching the footage. It seemed like you could see it pretty well, so I'm going to stick with that. This will also let me change which hand I'm using, so people can see it left-handed and right-handed. Okay, so for review, from Sunday, we're going to do some direct parry transitions. So that's from this side to this side. I want you to copy the side that my blade is on. Ignore which hand I'm holding the weapon in. So I'll say that one more time. Ignore which hand I'm using. The hand is not the important part. Go to the side that the blade is on. So just orient yourself with the red guard. So if I happen to be doing it left-handed, you're still over here. If I happen to be doing it right-handed, you're still over here. Same thing on this side. If I happen to be holding it in my right hand, it's over here. If I hold it with the other hand, still over here. So do not copy my body, copy the position. All that being said, if I'm using my left hand and you're right-handed, you can use that as reference. So right now, you're looking at me left-handed and you're right-handed. This is going to be like looking in a mirror. If I'm doing it right-handed and you're right-handed, this is what your opponent will look like when their blade is on this side. But it will not be what you look like when you're on this side. Okay, great. So I'm going to start it right-handed. We're going to start from on guard. If you're a saber fencer, your point is up instead of forward, but the hand placement is almost exactly the same. The only thing that your coach will tell you is to turn your cutting edge into their cut. That's it. But the hand position is all pretty much the same. So here we are, we're on this side, and then we transition. So if you're right-handed, you should be across your body right now. And then you're going to move across here. So if you're right-handed, you're on guard. If you're left-handed, you should be in a parry 4, either here or here. So lefties are back on guard, right-handed fencers are in parry 4 across the body. So we're here and we're here. You see how when I do it with both hands, four is 6 and 6 is 4, depending on which hand you look at. Or 4 is 3 and 3 is 4. It's saber. Depending on the hand, position's almost exactly the same, but the number is different if I'm right-handed or left-handed. Okay, so we got across, back, cross, back, and I'll do it with the other hand. So cross and back, cross and back. If you don't have a weapon, just if you're a saber fencer, use your thumb. If you're foil or epee, use your pointer finger. That's it. But notice, saber, epee, and foil, saber, epee, and foil. Only difference. Okay, so we go cross and back. So righties are on guard, lefties are in 4. Righties are on guard, lefties are in 4. Or I'm sorry, righties are in 4, lefties are on guard now. All right. Back, cross, back. Okay, cool. So now we're going to do circle parries. And you can do these in saber or epee or foil, just like we talked about on Sunday. So in saber, we'll start at saber since we started with foil and epee last time. A circular parry, I'm just moving from this position where I'm parrying back into the same pair. We hinted at this a little bit on Sunday as well. Most of the time when you're doing this, you're not going to be finishing your action with a circular parry. You can, but it's not, they're kind of slow, so they're better for counteroffense when you're like throwing up a smoke screen while the other person's on the march, rather than using it to finish. But they're really great for kind of disrupting what your opponent's doing when your distance is correct. And then same thing over here, I'm just returning to that same position. So I'm on guard, I return to on guard, or I'm in 4, and I just return to 4. So I'm trying to take the smallest possible action to get back to this position. Same thing here. Oftentimes you'll do it when they're hunting around near your hand, and doing a transition to the other side won't catch them. Because they're right here, they're just going to move like 2 inches down, and then they're back. Whereas with a circular transition, they have to move a lot more, which can help you. Okay. And then foil and epee, same idea. I want to return to 6, or I want to return to 4. So I return to 6, or I return to 4, depending on which side. Okay, we're going to start on this side. So if you're left-handed, you're on guard. If you're right-handed, you're across, doing parry forward. So we go circle and back. Saber fencer, circle and back. Foil and epee, circle and back. So I'm doing this from my perspective. This is clockwise from my perspective. So I'm going clockwise back to that position. If I go the other way, it'll keep their blade on the inside of my hand, which I don't want. Now watch from the other side. So this time, when I'm across my body, from my perspective, this is counterclockwise. So I'm going counterclockwise to parry, from my perspective. If you're right-handed, it will be clockwise from your perspective over here. Be going clockwise, clockwise. And you're across the body, it's counterclockwise. Okay, and then I'm going to do it left-handed. So left-handed from this side, left-handed this side. Look, it's counterclockwise for me. It's clockwise for you if you're across your body. And if I'm left-handed, I go across, it's clockwise for me, counterclockwise for you. So you see how everything on the right side for you is going, from your perspective, things on the right side are going to be counterclockwise, and clockwise. And then from your perspective on the left, no matter whether you're right-handed or left-handed, things on the left will also be counterclockwise from your perspective. Okay, so there's all the review. Now we're going to do our combo. So that combination, we're going to do a circular movement and then transition directly to the other side. So we're only using 4 and 6. In Saber, we're only using 3 and 4. You can do this with other parries. There are tons of other combinations, but we're just sticking to this to start with. But if you try this on your own, you can try it with other parries as well, and I highly recommend it. Okay, so our combination. We're going to start, I'll start left-handed this time, since I did it right-handed from the start before. So if you're right-handed, you should be mirroring me. If you are left-handed, your blade should be on this side over here. So you'll be across the body if you're left-handed. Okay, so we're on this side, no matter which hand you use. We're going to do our circular transition. So from your perspective, this should be what? Clockwise, right? From your perspective, this is clockwise. So we're going to go clockwise and then direct to the other side. So let's do that again. So we go clockwise, direct. Good. Again, so you go clockwise, direct. And this is from your perspective. From my perspective, this is counterclockwise. From your perspective, this is clockwise. Parry. Ready? Round the clock, clockwise, direct parry. Good. Now let's do it on the other side. So we're going to do our circular parry. So from your perspective, this should be counterclockwise. So again, counterclockwise from your perspective, and then direct. So we go to here, we're on this side, we go counterclockwise, direct to this side. So we go counterclockwise, direct. And if you're Saber, same thing. So I'm on this side, so I go counterclockwise, direct. So counterclockwise, direct. Good. Now I'm going to do it with this hand. So if you're left-handed, you will mirror me. If you're right-handed, you're going to be across your body. So we're still on this side. So we go counterclockwise, direct to that side. Counterclockwise, direct. Counterclockwise, direct. So see, here's it in Saber. Counterclockwise, direct. Counterclockwise, direct. All right, let's do this side one more time. So we're over here. we go clockwise, direct. Clockwise, direct. On this side. Clockwise on this side, direct. Clockwise, direct. Cool. So in particular, especially in saber, but also foil and epee, this works great. Don't act like it's only for saber, but it's most relevant to saber fencers. Is doing a circular combination and then a direct parry. In saber, whenever you do a parry riposte, the overwhelming majority of the time you're going to do some sort of direct parrying action. You're not going to do a circular action. It takes too much time. Maybe back like when I was in high school, 16 years ago or something like that, before the timing change, sure, you could get away with that kind of stuff. But these days, it's not a thing anymore. Saber's faster now than it used to be. So you don't get away with that, although you certainly could back in the day. There was enough time to do a circular parry and a riposte, but now not as much. So doing a circular setup is really good. It's like Sam talked about yesterday. You're trying to show them something they can follow when you're doing a fake action. You're not trying to scare them. You're not trying to confuse them. You're trying to show them something that's not confusing in a cloud of other confusing things you're doing. You're doing a lot of this preparation stuff that's wild and crazy, and they're not sure what to make of it. And then suddenly, they see something that makes sense. And a circular parry is really great at grabbing their attention and making sense because it's smooth and easy to follow. Especially if you do a couple of them, they'll be like, okay, I kind of catch the tempo there. And then when they fall for it, then you lock that down with your direct action and then riposte. Do a lot of prep and bop bop, simple thing to finish. Okay, our last thing is our hitting series. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna ask you to parry one of two different ways. So if I attack directly on one side, I want you to do a direct parry. If you're already on the side that I attack, you're going to have to do a circular parry. So for example, if you're right-handed and I'm on this side and I attack, you're going to have to do a circular parry because I'm close to your blade. If I'm super far away from your blade, I'm attacking over here, and you're right-handed and you're on guard, you're going to want to do a direct parry instead of a circular parry because it's too far away over here. You do a circular parry, you're going to be toast. Okay, so let's start. So I'm going to go to one of the two sides. You're not going to be sure which one, and you're going to have to figure out whether you need to go direct or if you need to circle. Okay, so all of you are on guard. Oh, don't worry, we'll do a more complicated version maybe next time, but we'll start with this. Okay, so if I go to you're on guard, you do a circle parry, so that's circle 6 or circle 3. If I go away from your guard, you do a direct parry to 4. Ready? Go. So that should be direct to 4 for right-handed fencers, and then a circle parry for left-handed fencers. Ready? Go. So that should be circular for right-handed fencers, direct for left-handed fencers. Okay, ready? Go. So that's circular for righties, direct for lefties. All right, ready? Go. So, direct for righties, circular for lefties. Ready? Go. Direct for righties, circular for lefties. All right, ready? Go. So again, direct for righties, circular for lefties. Okay, so now, sometimes I'm going to drop the sword down. If I do that, if my sword drops down, you're gonna just lunge and hit. So if you're standing there, sword drops, boom, you get your arm out and you go hit. All right, ready? So if you want extra challenge, you can do this while stepping in place. So doing advances for more experienced folks. Okay, ready? Ready, so more advanced folks step in place. Ready, attack. Okay, we're moving. Ready, parry. Good, so that should be direct for righties, circular for lefties. All right, ready, go. So circular for righties, direct for lefties. Ready, go. Aha! Got an attack. All right, ready, go. Good. All right, so we're moving. Go. Good. All right. Ready, go. So that's circular for the righties, direct for lefties. Ready, go. So again, circular for the righties, direct for the lefties. Ready, go. Good. So direct for righties, circular for lefties. Ready, go. Ah, it's an attack. All right, a couple more. Ready, go. Good. Ready, go. So direct for righties, circular for lefties. All right, ready, go. All right, good. That's circular for righties, direct for lefties. Ready, go. Another circular for righties, direct for lefties. Ready, oh!
The fake out.
Oh, the fake out. So if you started the circle parry, it means you have to go direct after. Or if you went direct, it means you have to follow with a circle. So if you go up and then go. All right, cool. Got it. There we go. Final action was a circle for lefties, direct for righties. Go. All right, so moving. There we go. Circular for righties, direct for lefties. Go. Okay. So I think that's good enough for now. Something that we certainly want to add in the future would be doing a transition. We'll look at that maybe for next stream, but if you can do this with someone else, you can add a option to disengage. So I show them where the initial parry is, and then if I disengage from that position, they will have to do another parry. So if I, let's say, do a parry 4 here, and they disengage, I will have to do a circle 4 to follow up. Or if I'm already on guard, and they attack in, I do my circle 6, they disengage, I'm gonna have to go direct to close that down. Okay, cool. So that's it for today. So until we can see you again in person, we'll see you out there on the internet. So stay safe, stay hydrated, and we've got some important news coming next week. So stay tuned. I got some real exciting stuff for you. All right, take care. Bye.